listening to Bad Decisions with Jas. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, you're listening to Season 2, Episode 7 on Bad Decisions with Jas. Was that better? I don't know. I felt like it was nice. I'm honestly not even gonna lie. I'm not enthusiastic at all today. Can you guess why? Yep, ample. Okay, if that's what you guessed, then you're right. I also did record this 4 different times, and that's how not enthusiastic I am. But I have a very big topic in which I took notes on my handy dandy little notepad. Just kidding, it's my iPad, but obviously you can see it for those on YouTube. But I just felt like that was a Blue's Clues nostalgic moment, and I was living for it, so I figured just, you know what I mean? Because every time I say it, I'm just oh, wow, I should just say that instead. Hello, welcome to the shit show in which I call my life. Alright, disclaimer, for those of you who were not who did not listen to my last episode, I am no longer bleeping out my swear words. So if you have kids in the car, just a disclaimer, if you're cleaning and there's kids around or something, or you don't like listening to swear words, I apologize. The amount of swear words I use has significantly been less since last season. Very proud of myself for that. Like I showed you my iPad, I obviously did my research this episode. Very proud of it. Go Jas, woohoo, that's great. I was going to do my weekly updates, but I decided to do that at the end of this episode. So that way those who just want to listen to the topic can listen to it, and then who cares about Jas's crazy life. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Come on now. My mental health is shit at the moment. Sorry, not swearing anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, today's topic was inspired by all of my episodes in which I talk about the importance of communication. Wow, I said that really fast. Communication is everything. I cannot stress it enough. It is everything to who we are as a human being. Okay, let's dig into it. Obviously, I sourced my topic of discussion this episode, so let's talk about the source. It is counseling.sa.ua.edu. Whew, that's a mouthful. And then also, most of this was summitcounseling.org, and Dr. Gottman is our go-to. I do not know the gender of this doctor, so that, I'm sorry, can't say he or she, because I do not know, and I do not want to assume someone's gender. Look at me being updated with the times. So obviously the topic is the power of words. Ladies and gentlemen, how long have you been with me? A while. So you know that everything you say will affect somebody for the rest of their lives. It doesn't matter if you think that what you said is insignificant. You do not know how the other person might take something, and which may not be insignificant to them. It may have changed and altered their entire lives, and we never even know. So choose your words wisely. That's all I'm gonna say. Now we're gonna jump into it. What the hell is communication? I mean, I think we all know what communication is, but am I gonna define it? Yes, I am. So let's read, guys. Exchange of information or news. That is what communication is. But also, it's our ability to speak our thoughts, our minds, or our opinions. And communication is vital to our survival. And that is because we are social creatures, ladies and gentlemen. I talk about this every single time. We are social creatures. It is in our nature to communicate with other human beings. We have to. It's how we survive. We cannot be silent our whole lives. That would be chaos. That's what that would be. So, like every single topic, I try to make this topic a little bit smaller, but it's a long topic, and it's probably going to be a long podcast. So, apologies in advance. I'm not sorry, actually. Full honesty right there, because I researched this a lot and I have been talking about this podcast for so long, and now we're finally here and we're gonna do this, and okay, let's go. Communication comes in many different forms, and the way that people communicate also comes in many different forms, naturally, because there are different types of communication. What are the different types of communication? Okay, let's talk about it. There's listening, and there is writing, there is obviously speaking, your body language, visually, and your actions. So listening is just focusing on the speaker, making eye contact with the speaker, which falls hand in hand with the visual. When you're speaking to somebody, you want the listener to make eye contact with you. You want them to listen to you. You want them to be focused on you. Obviously, speaking, your tone of voice that you use when you are communicating is a huge part in healthy versus unhealthy communication. Not getting into that yet. Your writing, are you writing aggressively? Are you writing like you're attacking the person? Are you writing as if you're just trying to inform the person? Two very big things that we will get to in a second. Actions. So what does a person do after you are done communicating with them? What do? Did they listen? Did they fix the problem that you were addressing? Did they find a solution for you? Like, what was the action done afterwards? And body language. Body language is a huge one, and Dr. Gottman definitely put light on body language in ways I didn't even realize were super important. Body language comes in two different forms. One will be contempt, and the other will be stonewalling. Body language is a person eye rolling. It's clenching of the jaw. Are they shrugging their shoulders? Like, what are they doing? Which falls a lot under contempt and stonewalling. Contempt is believing you are better than your partner, or your partner believing they are better than you. This is like in a form of mockery, or like grunts, or like, I don't know, I don't care about you. It's kind of what that is. Contempt is basically saying, I really don't give a shit about you. I think that my problems are bigger than yours, that I am better than you, so whatever you're feeling, I don't care. That's not on me. It's not my fault. And okay, there's a little bit of truth, because in one of my previous episodes, I had mentioned that we are not responsible for other people's feelings. However, this is more tailored to relationships, in the fact that when you are in a relationship, you are admitting that you are one and the same. You guys are together. You are cooperating together. And this falls a lot under healthy versus unhealthy communicating. Stonewalling, naturally, it's basically when the listener becomes a stone wall, for lack of better term. And it's just used in an adjective, basically. But it's monitored actions. Are they fully making eye contact with you, or are they distracted? Are they looking at their phone and then looking at you? Like, how are they acting? Which falls a lot into body language and visual, and all of these topics kind of just fall in together. They all make or break a healthy versus unhealthy relationship. So what the hell is healthy versus unhealthy relationship? Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about it. Healthy communication. I said relationship. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself now. Communication. Healthy communication is respect, accountability, and responsibility. It is trust. It is a non-threatening tone of voice or behavior. That is what healthy communicating is. Unhealthy communicating is the opposite, and we will jump into both of them in a second. So, like every topic, there is usually a right and wrong way. There's a moral way, you know what I mean? And there's a certain way to speak to somebody. And we should try and remember that although it seems that our feelings are more important than the other person's are still 100% important, even though we can't feel that. And we need to remember that when we are speaking, we should speak as though we are the listener, because how you say something, again, will affect somebody, even if you think it's insignificant. It is significant to the other person, and I can't really stress that enough, because of the fact that we will never really understand the other person's feelings, because we cannot feel what they feel. Healthy communicating is articulating your thoughts clearly and respectfully. Cannot stress that enough. Say what you want to say, but think of yourself as a listener, as I said. Think as yourself as the receiver when you're hearing your own words. Think before you speak. That is healthy communicating. If you know that what you're about to say is wrong, then guess what? Don't say it. It's a matter of making or breaking a relationship. Healthy communication will make or break a relationship. Getting ahead of myself. Know what you're saying and how you're saying it. So from personal experience, don't mind this, I'm cold. With hubby and I, we have gone through a lot in almost 2 years. And communication was one of those things that neither one of us were good at. But over the months that him and I have been together, I've noticed that pillow talk is the most effective form of communication for us. And the reason I say that is because he doesn't feel as though I'm attacking him, and I don't feel as though he's criticizing me. Pillow talk, that's a solution to healthy communication in ways that I cannot emphasize. Okay, know your audience and what you can say around some people but not others. Okay, although this part of healthy communication is more tailored towards work, know what you can say around your bosses versus what you can say around your friends versus what you can say around your family. Obviously, I cannot talk to hubby. I mean, I can talk to hubby as if he was like my bro or my pal or like my girlfriend or whatever, but I can't say like bro. Come on. I mean, imagine if he had done that to me. I'd probably punch him in the face. Not literally, that's domestic violence. We don't actually do that. I'm just joking. But you know what I mean? I can't just go around treating him the same way that I would treat everyone. He doesn't deserve that. He deserves more, which kind of falls under expectations, but not getting into that. But be honest. So I'll get into honesty and how to get your honest message across accurately, but be honest. It's a brave thing to do. I know that communication in itself is a brave thing to do because basically with communication, we are letting our walls down. We are letting ourselves be vulnerable for a second so that the other the listener can understand kind of what our emotions are, what our feelings are. We're letting them into a very, very soft spot, for lack of better description. So how your honesty gets across can be unhealthy. Let's get into unhealthy, shall we? Obviously, guys, I don't think I need to explain this, but being passive-aggressive is unhealthy. It's an unhealthy form of communication. Being aggressive is an unhealthy form of communication. Naturally, I think we're all intellectual people who know that being passive-aggressive just means that you're being petty and that you're kind of just saying something to take a jab at somebody and they don't deserve the passive aggression that you're giving them. And full disclaimer, full transparency, I am guilty of this, and I think most people are, because I think it's just something that we do because we're being defensive. Lying, which could also be a defensive mechanism, and sometimes lying is just a defensive mechanism that people pick up in toxic relationships. In fact, it's easier to lie to somebody than tell them the truth because they're kind of like protecting themselves. But obviously lying is an unhealthy form of communication, and I do not trust liars, which is unhealthy, and there's no reason to lie. Just be honest. Just be honest and admit your shortcomings. Getting ahead of myself once again. Obviously, a disrespectful tone, secrets, and jealousy, all forms of unhealthy communication because you're saying something kind of like an asshole at that point. I guess you can say your jealousy in a kind way, but at the end of the day, jealousy is kind of disrespectful. That's kind of like your own emotion in which no one else is really responsible for. That stems from a lot more than just the way you communicate or what the other person is doing. I don't really want to get into that because it's like another topic in itself. But obviously, secrets is unhealthy communication. If you're hiding something from your partner, guess what? That's unhealthy. And secrets always come to life. What goes around comes around, okay? It does. Somebody will figure it out one of these days, and that person will blab it to the whole world. For some reason, we all love drama. I do, for sure I do. Getting off topic. When communicating, it is super imperative that you remember that you are the person expressing your ideologies, your emotions, and that the other person is just listening. You always have to remember that the person on the other side of that conversation is just listening. They will never be able to feel what you feel, as I've said. They never will, because their own emotions are what their own, that's what they feel, that's what they know. So remember, they're listening, and that you are just a speaker trying to express yourself and your thoughts and your mind. And this is a huge one, and one that it took me a few years to learn myself, and I can't stress this enough, but begin with I feel. The reason you begin with I feel is because this right here, this opening statement already tells the other person that you are taking responsibility for your own emotions, and that you are not criticizing the other person, that you are not pointing fingers. When you say you're pointing fingers. Avoid the word you altogether when you are communicating. When you say I feel, do not follow up with I feel as though you. Don't say that, because you're pointing a finger at that point. But I feel just emphasizes that you are not antagonizing the listener, but in fact, you are just trying to express what your discontentment is or what your concerns are. I hope that makes sense, and I can't stress that enough. But when you are communicating, again, do not put the word you. And let me give you some examples. Some examples might be, I feel as though I am always picking up after messes I did not make. Perfect example. Did not use you. Definitely came straight off the top of my head. Did not write that down. But in this way, I have said that this is what I feel, and this is what I have observed lately. And I am not at all pointing a finger at the other person at that conversation. I feel as though I am doing this all the time. And that is clear, it is assertive, it is concise, the other person will understand, and it's a natural thing for your partner. In a relationship, there is always that one person who wants to fix everything. That is a healthy couple. It's just that there's this one person that always wants to make something better for the other person. That's what I'm trying to say. When you say, I feel as though you're addressing that it's your own problem, it's your own feeling, and that the other person will listen to it if they are a healthy communicator too, getting ahead of subject, and they will probably try and find a solution for you. And like I said, avoid the word you, because it automatically assumes that you're pointing a finger at the other person. And it's wrong, because you're not. You're just trying to tell the other person what you feel like. This is a huge one in which I picked up by myself, and most people will agree with me. It should be all people, but you never know these days. Listen before commenting, okay? When I'm having a vent session, I hate it when somebody comments while I'm venting. I hate it more than anything because I want to be heard and understood. Getting out of myself again. I want the person just to listen. And then when I have completely let it out, then the comments and the questions are open for discussion. I do not like to be stopped mid-conversation when I'm venting, because I am letting the other person know about my feelings, and when someone comments in between that, I feel as though they are not listening. And that is unhealthy communication, because we want to be heard and we want to be understood, and there is a difference between hearing someone and understanding versus just hearing them. And I am a guilty party in this. So what is the difference, you might ask? What is the difference between being heard and understood versus just being heard? Okay, how about we get into it? Being heard means that the other person is not fully comprehending nor processing what you are communicating. They're just listening. And the reason I say I'm bad at this is because sometimes someone will be talking to me and I will not actually be understanding what they're saying. It's kind of just like they're a white noise in my ears. That's it. It's just like something that will put me to sleep. I'm not actually listening. I'm not actually hearing and understanding what that person says, but I am hearing them. I hear them speak. I hear their voice, and I hear them making their different sounds to make words, but I don't actually hear and understand what they say. And the reason why it's different is just because of how you process it. When you understand something, you're processing the facts that they have stated. And when you process that, it means you're acknowledging that person being honest with you, or just whatever that they're saying. It doesn't even have to be, a serious conversation. You're just understanding what they say, and you're providing some kind of input. Like, when I do this, I'm just like, yeah, okay, but I'm not actually understanding what they say. I'm just like, wait, can you repeat that a second? And it's bad. No, it's a bad habit, and it's not something that we should be doing often because, again, people are being honest with you, and you should take into account that being honest is super brave. According to Dr. Gottman, arguments and conflicts within relationships and your friendships are important. Actually, they are important to a healthy relationship. And I say this because you need those conflicts and arguments. Hubby and I, obviously, we get into those normal couple arguments, the little bickering, and they're not actually arguments, and that's normal. And I say that's normal because him and I are our own people. We are not identical. We are not the same. We don't think the same. We don't express ourselves the same. What motivates us is not the same. How we feel is not the same. And Dr. Gottman really emphasized that, and I really liked reading the article because of it. So no matter what you do, you'll never be the same person. Yes, although arguments and conflicts are normal, contentment and stonewalling are not. So I emphasize that in body language because I wanted to touch on it now that Dr. Gottman kind of like gave us the intro to this. Contentment, mockery, that's a really unhealthy sign of communication. You kind of really do want to steer clear of it, and same with stonewalling. When you are in a relationship, you are exclusively seeing this one person, and you want to be understood by that one person and loved by that one person. So when they mock you and when they put you down and stonewall you and make you feel as though they're not actually listening, that you're not a priority to them, I feel like it's a huge slap in the face to the person trying to communicate. Because, as I said, for now a third time, honesty is brave, and communicating in general is brave, because we are letting them into our vulnerable spaces. And I know that we choose people, and we are vulnerable when we choose people, because obviously relationships just don't happen with you not talking and just having less. It doesn't work like that. But when your partner just kind of like decides to stonewall you and just act like you're not important, that anything else in the world is more important than you, it hurts. It hurts a lot. And I've been there, and I have no idea how to get out of it. And I think it just kind of happens. I think it just comes with more and more communication. And we will talk about the solutions that I have at the end of this. But Dr. Gottman did say that contempt is the biggest, most important indication of a decline in a relationship. It leads to breakups, it leads to divorce, it leads to a lot of sadness that could be avoided. Now, with somebody who has parents who are divorced right now, and knowing what that divorce kind of just like led up to, it was a huge deal, because this sign of contempt was very visible to everyone in the family. The thing is, one person believed that what they felt, what they did in life was more important, was superior to the partner's feelings, emotions, what they did with their lives, etc. And that is the biggest downfall. Nobody wants to feel like their feelings are unimportant or less important than the other person's, because that's not the case. And I think when you let your own feelings become bigger than another person, again, it's normal for you to feel like your feelings are more important, because at the end of the day, our own feelings is exactly what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. When I wake up, I feel like this. When I go to sleep, I feel like this. And there's nothing that hubby can say or do to change how I'm feeling. It's just that he makes it more bearable. And I think with contentment and with the divorce, it was that one person kept being better than the other and just kind of kept trying to prove it and prove it and prove it. And eventually it got in the middle of their one big happy family to the point where a divorce happened and now they're on their own. You know what I mean? And it's sad. And you shouldn't let your own feelings cloud your judgment of why you love another person or why you're friends with this person, because you know, when you are in a friendship, when you are in a relationship, it means that you are valuing that person. And I feel like contempt kind of contradicts that. It means, I think it's just like you're kind of just growing apart from this person. You don't really care about them anymore. If they walk out the door, it's not going to hurt you. And that has a lot to do with something we're not talking about today. This is a really big quote that I came up with that I am very proud of. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? Communication is not meant to change. It is meant to understand someone better and help them be better. Communication is not meant to change. When you're communicating with someone, you cannot change the person. You are already signing that contract to be with them, knowing full well of how they are. However, when you communicate with them, you are helping them become a better person. If you are not bettering your partner, if you are not bettering your friends, you're doing it wrong. Communication is a huge part of pushing your friends, pushing your partner, your spouse, your girlfriend, whatever you want to call them. And it's not meant to change the person. The person is who they are. That's who they're always going to be. However, you can communicate with them. You can say, I think that this is a bad habit that you have, and I would like to find a solution to it. Maybe like avoid the word you. I noticed I did that. Again, I'm not perfect at this. I am not an expert. I am learning this as I go, and I really wanted to emphasize that it's to make people better. Words have power. You can push somebody, but you can also break somebody. It's easy. You say the wrong thing and they take it the wrong way, and it just affects them for the rest of their lives. I've seen a lot of this with parents. My dad said the wrong thing to me once, and guess what? Here I am 10 years later and it still affects me. You know what I mean? The power of your words. You can control the words that come out of your mouth. Nobody else dictates that. So please keep that in mind. Although I have touched a lot on communication with other people, which is called interpersonal communication, there is something called intrapersonal communication, which it took me like 20 tongue twisters to even figure that out. Interpersonal communication is just communication with others. It's something we do on a day-to-day basis. But intrapersonal communication can also be unhealthy and healthy, or healthy, with ourselves, within our mind, and it's a big part of our self-love and like our emotions, being able to process how we feel. And obviously, like I said, it can be unhealthy and it can be healthy. And maybe it's a little bit of both, honestly. It can be. There are times where I am super positive in my mind. I am hyping myself up. I am reminding myself that I am good enough, that I'm worth being loved. There are times where I'm telling myself, no, Jazz, you are beautiful. Stop being insecure. And then there's those voices in my head that is being unhealthy. That's being passive aggressive to myself. That is being aggressive to myself. Like, that is lying to myself. Well, maybe not lying. I have come a very long way from lying to myself. That was definitely something from adolescent Jazz, and I have grown a lot from it, but I definitely used to lie to myself. And it wasn't just to lie to myself, but I think it was just to convince myself of other, like, for a different outcome than what honesty would have been, getting ahead of myself. I was a very big critic on myself, and I think obviously I still am, you know, and that's kind of everybody. We are our own worst critic, you know, but then I'm also a complainer to myself, and sometimes I do just, you know, talk disrespectfully to myself. I mean, I guess that's what I used to do. I guess, yeah, no, sometimes I still do it. And it's normal, and I don't want you to feel like it's not a normal thing, because it is. I don't want you to feel like judging yourself based on your facial feature or like something you said or, you know, what have you is a bad thing. Yes, it's unhealthy communication within yourself, and it's imperative to your own well-being and your own peace of mind that you are communicating healthily with yourself, but it happens. And there's just a bad habit that one day you're gonna have to break. For me, the biggest way I broke the habits of being passive aggressive to myself was to start saying good things to myself on a daily basis, even if I didn't fully like feel it or grasp it. I still would say something nice to myself, and eventually those words, I understood them and I accepted them, and I accepted me for who I am. And I talked about a lot of self-love within a previous episode and how important it is to self-love before you can love others. And that's because what goes on in the conversations that go on in your mind will go ahead and be let out on other people. So when you're not being honest with yourself, then guess what? You're not being honest with those around you. And when you're lying to yourself, then guess what? That you're lying to those around you. So, you know, I kind of like noticed these habits, and I was like, you know what? I really need to nip this in the bud. And doing that, I was being healthy, and I was communicating healthily with myself, and I was trusting myself, and I was trusting that I always make rational decisions. But again, these are things that take time, and they take certain lessons for you to learn to get there, because life is all about lessons, guys. Come on now. And I stress on healthy communication for a lot of reasons. One, because I like to have healthy relationships and friendships, and with my family and my friends, of course. But I also stress on it because it helps you be closer to other people. And when you're communicating healthy, then that person will really understand you. And I stress it because it's a huge thing to be understood. You know, being an outcast almost all my life, and then all of a sudden I just feel like I'm involved. Communication was like everything for me, because I wanted to create a lot of long-lasting relationships. And am I perfect at it? Like I said, I'm not perfect at it. There are times where I'm still passive aggressive. There are times where I come off more like a criticizer rather than somebody who just wants to fix a situation, where I'm just pointing fingers. Of course, and even to myself. I do it to myself too. I do it to hubby. It doesn't matter. I'm doing it all the time, and you know, it's just something that like I just want to nip in the butt, and I've been working so hard at it, because healthy communication, like I said, is essential to our everyday life. It's essential to our well-being, you know, inside of here. Well, I'm pointing here, but I meant like in our heart and like in our mind. I mentioned how I had come a long way from like where I was communicating, you know, with lying to myself and the honesty. And a lot of people will ask me, well, Jazz, what helped you fix that? What helped you find a solution to that? And to that, I say, no particular significant events helped me come to the conclusion that I needed to be honest. It was more of the fact that I accepted the fact that lying is not a shield. It's not a shield. It's actually just a bullet wound. And I kind of just had a moment of fuck it. I don't want to lie anymore. I don't want to lie to myself. I don't want to lie to other people. I want to better myself, because again, communication is addressing those flaws and then making them better. And I just wanted to be honest. You know, I wanted to be honest with myself. I wanted to be honest with other people. I didn't know why I felt like lying was such a defensive mechanism. And eventually I came to the conclusion that honesty was my barrier. It was my shield. It actually protected me, because when I'm honest, I don't need to take it back. I don't need to make other people feel bad or make myself feel guilty for lying, because lying is a bad thing. And eventually one day you're gonna be like, dang, I wish I didn't tell that lie. I mean, you really are. But when you're honest, you're never gonna say, dang, I wish I wasn't honest, because you're honest. And when I came to the conclusion that making my honesty my shield was the best for me and made me feel better about myself, that's when I was happier, honestly. That's when my moment of fuck it kind of happened. And I live by honesty to this day. I do not associate with people who are not honest with themselves anymore. That's a really big red flag, a bad indicator. Getting ahead of myself, because that's another topic. I honestly appreciate honesty, even if it hurts. Even if it hurts, you can't take back honesty. And that was a really big point for me, and a really big point I make to other people. Here we go, guys. Solutions. So sometimes people won't listen to healthy communication. Sometimes people don't understand healthy communication. Sometimes they just have those bad habits of unhealthy communication, and that's all that they know. And to that I say, fuck them. Just kidding. I'm kidding. That's not what I say. Let's talk solutions. So, I mean, first of all, I would always try and nip something in the butt, firsthand before getting others involved, which I think you know where I'm going with this. But even when you're communicating healthy, but the other person is still getting defensive, in that case, it's the other person lacking those healthy communication skills. And I would just say, I feel like I have not emphasized the importance of communication in our relationship or in our friendship. This way you're avoiding the word you, so you're not pointing a finger saying they're the person lacking on communicating, and you're taking responsibility that you have not acknowledged the fact that communication is super important in your relationship or with your friendship, with your peers, etc. And you're acknowledging that you guys are one and the same, that you're both lacking on something, and that in turn will probably help push your partner to be better at communicating, while also pushing yourself to be communicating. Because when you say things like that, you're also acknowledging that you're bad at it too. And that's what I would say to it. Obviously, if it doesn't work, then you're kind of going to have to bring in some big guns. And I would say get a mediator, get somebody involved. Now, the issue that I have with this is that a mediator does not have to be a therapist. It could be anybody. And the issue with that is that when you bring somebody else into your relationship, you are bringing that other person's opinion into your relationship. So I try and do my best to just stay away from that. If there's something wrong with my relationship, I will talk to my partner about it, and him and I will discuss it, and we will tackle that problem together. I don't like to bring other people into it, because I don't need other people's opinions, because the one thing that people tend to say when you bring someone else into your relationship is, well, you should just leave that person, you can find better. And honestly, I hate that, because it's like, no, I found the best and I want to make it better. And then obviously if a mediator isn't working, then see a therapist, because, and not just for your partner, but also for yourself. Understand what you're doing wrong, because sometimes when we see patterns, it's not with the people around us, it's within ourselves. So try and nip it in the bud. Be honest with yourself. Admit your shortcomings. That is the biggest thing that I can take from communication, is admitting your shortcomings. Means that you're acknowledging the fact that you're human and you're not better than anybody else. You're just as equal to everybody else's feelings. That was like the biggest point I could make within communication. Obviously, there are lots of big points that I wanted to make. See a therapist. See a therapist for yourself. See a therapist with your partner, your significant other, your husband, your spouse, your wife, etc. I'm rambling. And just try and figure out how to healthy communicate. Therapy is a good thing. Admitting your shortcomings is a good thing. It's healthy communication. Right off the bat, we want that. That was my solution for unhealthy communication and how to fix it. And I think that we're already at 40 minutes, and usually we're at 40 minutes when I've already talked about my life. Holy crap. But please remember how you feel is important, and you are entitled to your feelings. Remember that. You are entitled to your feelings, but we are not responsible for another person's actions or feelings. We are not. And I said that in my other episode, and I'm still going to say it because it's the truth. However, when the other person is communicating their feelings to you, please do not act as though your feelings are more important than theirs, because they're being vulnerable. They're being honest with you. There's no reason to be passive aggressive for somebody who just wants to tell you, look, babe, this is my concern. You know, there's no need to backlash on opinions. There's no need to get defensive. I mean, obviously, if you feel threatened in any way, then yeah, get defensive. But that is what I wanted to say about the power of your words and how they can affect somebody and how they can hurt somebody. I don't want you guys to ever say something because knowingly, even though I've done this, knowingly that it's going to hurt somebody and you're going to do it anyways. But I'm working on it, and I want you guys to work on it with me so that we can be better people, that there can be some kind of good in this morbid, sad world. I mean, there's beauty to it, sure, but you get my point. Rambling again, gonna shut up. For those of you that just wanted to listen to the topic, then thank you so much for listening, and let's get into my life story. It's actually not long, so I'll make it pretty quick. But did I say on Wednesdays we were pink? Because I wrote that down because I keep wanting to say it, and I feel like I always forget. I don't know. I really do miss New Orleans and the food. I saw something on Facebook that was like, Louisiana spoiled us with some good-ass food. Now everywhere else we go is just like booty or something like that. And I was like, Louisiana does have some really good food. You guys should definitely try that food one of these days. And lastly, in this week's update is that our dog, Bruiser, shout out to Bruiser because he lives with me, so he needs a shout out, got surgery on Friday. Was it Friday? On Friday. Because he tore his ACL, and the poor dog has a cone on his head, and I don't know why I'm laughing. It's because I'm uncomfortable because it makes me like genuinely sad. But shit. But he got surgery, and like honestly seeing him like makes me cry. When I saw him the day after, it was like I've never been like so depressed for him. I love the dog in my own way. I should say that. I love him in my own way, and if you know me, then you know exactly what I'm saying. But I wanted to cry when I saw him, and it was sad. And that's basically all of my weekly updates. That's where I'm at in my life. I have no weekly updates. I have like no new drama. Nothing new is happening in my life other than the fact that my wedding is in 2 months now. 2 months time, and not everything is done. Like I don't even have shoes yet. Kind of like the little details that are probably supposed to already be done and picked out has not been. Am I stressing? Yes. But what am I doing about it? Sleeping. Great. Love it. This does indeed conclude my topic for today, ladies and gentlemen. I am live on Twitch every Wednesday and Saturday. I love it. I love playing Sims. I love being able to interact with viewers and talk to them, any questions that they have, and answer them, and help bring the life of the house. Bring the house to life is what I meant to say. Saturday and Wednesdays at 6:30 Eastern time. And Bad Decisions with Jazz. Obviously, all my platforms just say Bad Decisions with Jazz. TikTok is Bad Decisions with Jazz. And I do my best to post TikToks. Was kind of like embarrassed about the little 2 transitions that I did, but I did it anyways. And I was like, I'm just gonna post this. I'm just gonna go ahead. Just send it. Just a fuck it moment kind of situation. Follow me on Instagram. And that will conclude this week's episode. Wow, lots to discuss, but I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting me. Thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for downloading it. Thank you for listening. It makes me super happy, and you know the drill. I love the feedback. Give me the feedback. I want the feedback. Let me know what I can do to make this podcast more enjoyable. Obviously, we've run about to like 50 minutes-ish, and I want you guys to enjoy what you're listening to, not just like, oh, well, I know this girl, I'm just going to listen to it. No, I want you guys to enjoy it, so let me know what I can do to make it better. I love you guys with all my heart. Thank you for supporting me always, and I will see you in next week's episode. Be safe, be happy, and be loved. XOXO Jas.